Imagine you're walking through a forest, alone and alive. There's no sound but the crunch of leaves beneath your feet. The sun filters gently through the trees. Everything feels still. You take a breath, and for a moment, there is nothing to chase, nothing to fear. Just being. Now imagine this. In that exact moment, someone whispers into your ear, "You could be more than this. You could have more." And suddenly the forest isn't enough. Your peace evaporates and the chase begins. That whisper, that hunger, that craving, that's what this video is about. Because according to the Buddha, this is the root of all suffering. Not pain, not death, not even fear, but the constant wanting. But the belief that what we have is not enough, that we are not enough. And the shocking thing is, in today's world, we're told that this hunger is normal, even good. But what if it's the very thing destroying our peace? Let's start with a brutal truth. We are trained from birth to want more. More success, more money, more validation, but more followers, more experiences, more identity, more everything. And the moment we get what we wanted, the mind moves the finish line. You buy the car and then want a better one. You get 10,000 followers, then aim for 100,000. You fall in love and then wonder if someone else could love you more. It never ends. And that's the point. Because the system we live in depends on your dissatisfaction. But if you were content, the economy would collapse. But if you stopped wanting more, thousands of industries would fall apart overnight. Think about it. Desire is the engine of capitalism.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
If you felt whole, why would you need a new phone every year? If you felt enough, why would you need to prove it to strangers on a screen? If you were at peace, why would you keep scrolling, shopping, chasing? This isn't just Buddhist theory, it's a design. And it works. Because the more you want, the more you believe that peace lies on the other side of achievement. But it never does. Because Buddha didn't just say desire is suffering. He said something deeper. Craving creates illusion. The illusion that peace is elsewhere. And that illusion keeps you trapped. Now let's talk about the mind. Your mind is a craving machine. It's not evil, it's just doing its job. It evolved to seek, to chase, to solve problems. But in the modern world, that drive has mutated. We're no longer seeking food, shelter, or safety. We're seeking status, novelty, and dopamine. We're not hunting animals anymore. We're hunting meaning. And the tragedy is, the more we chase it, the further it runs. Because the mind is never satisfied. That's why when you finally get what you want, there's a flash of joy and then an emptiness. The mind recalibrates. It says, okay, now what? And you're back to craving again. Buddha called this the wheel of samsara, the endless cycle of desire, fulfillment, disappointment, and rebirth of desire. It's not just poetic, it's neurological. Every time you get a hit of pleasure, your brain adapts. The next time it needs more, and more, and more, until your baseline for happiness is so high that reality never feels good enough. And if we're honest, we all feel it. That quiet anxiety, that itch we can't scratch, and that sense that something's missing even when everything is going right. You're in a beautiful place, with people you love, and your mind still wanders, still compares, still wants. That's not your fault. That's the mind untrained. Buddha didn't hate desire because he was joyless. He recognized that desire, left unchecked, becomes a prison. And the key to freedom isn't to kill desire. It's to understand it, to ask, what am I really chasing? Is it the thing or the feeling I think it will give me? And if it's the feeling, why can't I access it now? Why do I believe that peace is a reward rather than a birthright? Let's go even deeper. Imagine you wake up tomorrow with everything you've ever wanted, but the money, the love, the status, the perfect life. Now ask yourself this, would you finally be at peace? Or would your mind find something new to want? Most people can't answer that honestly, because we've built our identity around pursuit, around becoming, around upgrading. But what if who you are right now is already enough? That's the idea we resist the most. And because if we accept that, then the game ends, and the drama stops, the chase dissolves, and what's left is silence, stillness, presence. And for many people that's terrifying. We've been taught that stillness is laziness, that contentment means giving up, that peace means weakness. But Buddha would ask, is it weakness to stop drinking salt water when you realize it will never quench your thirst? So here's the question, what if the thing you're chasing is the very thing stealing your peace? What if wanting more is not a strategy but a trap that looks like ambition but feels like anxiety, a trap that looks like progress but feels like pressure, a trap that looks like success but costs you your soul? And the wild part is, we don't even notice it, because everyone around us is chasing too. We think we're running towards something, but really, we're just running from stillness, running from ourselves, running from the terrifying truth that peace doesn't come from adding but from subtracting. So now we're stepping into the fire, because it's one thing to say desire causes suffering, but it's something else entirely to live in a world built on desire and not be consumed by it. You and I live in a time where we are constantly told that more is better. More success means more value. More followers means more love. More productivity means more worth. But here's the catch. If wanting more is endless, then peace becomes impossible. Because you're never allowed to arrive. You're always taught to feel behind, to feel like you're missing something, to feel like you haven't made it yet. And that's where the Buddha's wisdom becomes not just helpful but revolutionary. Because he didn't say, don't live in the world. He said, don't let the world live in you. Let's break that down. You can have goals. You can have dreams. You can even chase things. But the question is, are you chasing from wholeness or emptiness? But are you creating from peace or trying to find peace through creating? That's the subtle shift that changes everything. Because when you create from peace, you're not attached to the outcome. You're not defined by whether it works or not. You're not trying to prove anything. You're just expressing what's true. But when you chase from emptiness, you're a slave to the result. If people don't applaud, you feel worthless. If the numbers don't grow, you feel stuck. If the goal doesn't happen, you feel like you failed not just at the task, but as a person. That's not living, that's performing. And this performance is everywhere. You see it on social media, at work, even in relationships. People trying to become the most lovable version of themselves instead of just being themselves. People trying to signal success instead of living it. People chasing happiness while the chase itself is making them miserable. And the worst part, we've normalized this. We call it grind culture, hustle mindset, leveling up. But the Buddha would ask, are you climbing a mountain that even has a peak? Or are you just climbing because everyone else is? Chasing because you're afraid of what happens when you stop? Let's pause and ask something real. What would happen if you stopped chasing for just one day? No new goals, no self-improvement, no comparing, no proving, just being. Would you feel peace or panic? Would you feel free or lost? Most people don't want to answer that, because the truth is, we've built our identity on wanting, not having, not being, wanting. And if we stop wanting, then who are we? That's the spiritual crisis at the heart of modern life. We mistake desire for direction. We think craving is the same as purpose. But it's not. Craving pulls you outward, purpose anchors you inward. Craving says, I'll be happy when. Purpose says, I am whole now, and I choose to create. Craving is rooted in lack. Purpose is rooted in presence. And this is where Buddha's path becomes radical. He didn't say, get rid of all desires. He said, let go of attachment to desire. That's a huge difference. It means you can still build things, still love people, still create art, but you stop clinging. You stop defining yourself by what happens. You stop needing life to go your way to feel okay. Imagine that. Imagine being able to fully show up for your goals but not be crushed if they fail. Imagine loving someone deeply but not needing them to complete you. Imagine working hard but not from a place of fear. That's not passivity. That's power. That's clarity. That's spiritual freedom. But how do we actually live that way? How do we let go of attachment in a world that constantly teaches us to attach? It starts with awareness, real, raw awareness. You have to start noticing when you're craving. Not just what you're craving, but what you think it will give you. That's where the truth lives. You're not just craving the job, you're craving the feeling of being respected. You're not just craving the relationship, you're craving the feeling of being enough. You're not just craving the money, you're craving the security you think it will bring. And here's the paradox, those feelings are already available now. You just have to stop outsourcing them. Because the more you believe peace lives out there, the more you suffer in here. This is what Buddha meant when he talked about right view, seeing clearly, seeing that no external thing can give you what you refuse to give yourself, seeing that every desire is a mirror. It's not about the object, it's about the story. And when you break that story, when you shatter the illusion that peace comes from more, you finally begin to taste reality. Not the reality that's filtered through fear and craving, but the raw, wild, sacred now. The moment that doesn't need to be improved. The breath that doesn't need to be chased. The self that doesn't need to be fixed. So let's make this practical. The next time you feel that itch, that craving, that voice that says, I need this to be okay, pause. Don't fight it. Don't shame it. Just watch it. Ask it, what are you really trying to give me? And then ask, is there a way to feel that now, before the goal, before the win, before the win, before the validation? Sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes it's hard. But the practice is everything, because every time you pause, you break the cycle. You step off the treadmill, you reclaim your power. And isn't that what we're really after? Not more stuff, not more likes, but more presence, more joy, more peace. Buddha wasn't against life. He was for life unchained, life unburdened, life that doesn't depend on the next achievement to feel worthy. And that kind of life, it's rare, it's quiet, it's not loud or flashy, but it's free. And that freedom, it's not the result of getting everything you want. It's the result of realizing that you already have everything you need. We've arrived at the edge of the illusion that has shaped our world, shaped our choices, and even shaped our identity, the illusion of more. This is where things get uncomfortable, because we're not just talking about desire as a feeling anymore. We're talking about desire as a self that's been constructed brick by brick through wants and cravings and validations. Who are you when you're not wanting something? Most people don't know, because from the time we were young, we were taught that to be someone, we must want something, a dream, a goal, a lifestyle, a future. But what if that teaching was a trap? What if desire isn't just something we feel, but something we've been told we are? Let's go deep. There's a reason modern culture sells desire as identity. Because desire keeps you moving and movement keeps you consuming. If you were content, the machine would break. If you stopped chasing upgrades, mental, physical, financial, the system would lose its grip. So what does it do? It makes wanting look like growth. It makes dissatisfaction look like ambition. It makes longing look like purpose. And suddenly your identity isn't built on who you are but what you lack. This is where Buddha's wisdom cuts the deepest. He didn't just say craving causes suffering. He said the self is an illusion, and that illusion is built on craving. The more you want, the more you believe you're incomplete. And the more incomplete you feel, the more you construct a self that is always in process, always becoming, never arriving. That's not just exhausting, it's enslavement. Now think about your daily life. How often do you feel like you're not there yet? Like you need to improve, to achieve, to grow in order to finally feel okay. And that feeling isn't a flaw. It's the default setting of an identity based on desire. And the cruel joke is it feels like progress, but it's stagnation in disguise, because you're not moving forward. You're just circling the same loop: desire, effort, achievement, emptiness, new desire. Round and round. Modern life calls it success. Buddha called it samsara, the wheel of suffering. And unless you see the pattern, you'll spend your whole life on that wheel, mistaking motion for liberation. But here's where it gets profoundly practical. Because once you see the illusion, you can begin to step off the wheel. Not by abandoning your life, not by renouncing your job, your family, or your dreams, but by shifting where you place your identity. You stop building yourself around what you crave and start rooting it in what's already true. Not the future version of you, not the successful you, not the got it all together you, but the you that exists now, breathing, watching, aware. That's the you that's free. The you that Buddha wanted to wake up. And waking up isn't a mystical moment. It's a practice, a discipline, a choice. Every time you notice desire rising, and instead of reacting, you witness, you're waking up. Every time you feel the urge to chase more, and instead you choose stillness, you're waking up. Every time you feel the panic of not enough, and you remind yourself that peace isn't earned, it's remembered, you're waking up. That's the real enlightenment. Not floating away from life, but fully arriving in it. The fog of craving, without the noise of what's next. Just this, just now, just being. Let's take a moment and ask the deepest question of all. If you had nothing to prove, nothing to gain, and nothing to fix, who would you be? What would you do, not out of fear or ambition, but out of love? What would your life look like if it wasn't a project, but a presence? That's not a question you answer once. It's a question you live, over and over, because the mind will keep trying to pull you back into the illusion. It will say, you're falling behind. You need this to be happy. You're not enough yet. But each time you hear that voice, you can smile and say, I see you. I know your game, and I choose peace instead. This doesn't mean giving up. It means waking up. It means doing what you do with presence instead of pressure, creating with joy instead of chasing validation, loving without needing to possess, living without needing to control. That's not passivity, it's the most radical form of power. Because the world can't manipulate someone who no longer needs more to feel whole. The system can't control someone who has stepped out of the game. You become untouchable, not because you win, but because you no longer need to. And let's be clear, this is not about perfection. You will still feel desire. You will still crave. You will still forget. But now you know. You know that peace isn't on the other side of achievement. You know that enough is a decision, not a destination. And that knowledge, that's the seed of freedom. Every time you return to it, you water it, and slowly your life begins to change. Not because you got more, but because you finally saw that you didn't need to. So what do we do now? We practice, we breathe, we walk through life with eyes open. We notice the craving and we don't chase it. We notice the fear and we don't obey it. We notice the story and we don't believe it. And in that space between craving and reaction, between thought and action, we find something rare, something sacred, something that was always there, waiting quietly beneath the noise.